Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Cotzi. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Cotzi, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Cotzi, 561-441-2730. A ride.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, there is so much news after an extraordinarily difficult weekend and a lot of new details coming in. In just the last few hours, tied to Brown University, there is new surveillance footage coming out of the guy who they believe is a suspect who was walking there on campus on their one sort of old surveillance footage, if you see it. And at that moment, you see this guy walking. It's about 2 hours before the shooting. And of course, in that shooting, there were 2 students who were killed and many others injured when somebody suddenly burst into a classroom and starts opening fire. And in that particular case, one of those deceased was a guy who was studying to be a neurosurgeon. That was his dream. How sad. And then there was another heartbreaking individual, obviously Ella Cook. And she is the head of the GOP campus club. So is there any connection? We don't know at this point, but it certainly could maybe be some sort of tie. Was she being targeted because of her political beliefs? We don't know. It's still too early. We don't even know who the person is. Remember, they arrested somebody over the weekend and then they let that person out. And to me, it looks like Abbott and Costello are in charge of the police force and the messaging there at Brown University. The fact that this university, which is an Ivy League school, has like barely any surveillance footage. So far, the best footage that we saw tonight was not just that surveillance footage from that old grainy camera where you can barely see anything, but was also from a Ring camera. It's like, okay, it's from, a doorbell camera nearby, and you can sort of see the guy's face there. It's hard to tell, too much, but just a little bit. Like maybe if you know him, you might recognize him, but you can sort of see just a little bit through a mask. You can see a little bit of the way he's walking, obviously, and some other things. But there are still so many questions tonight. And it's shocking to me that in this day and age, 2025, at an Ivy League college, the best you can come up with is some lousy surveillance footage. That to me is a travesty. And there are so many mistakes here because clearly they couldn't figure it out. And then they said they had the guy, then they didn't have the guy. They couldn't even make their story straight. Even in the middle of the press conference, somebody's mouthing off to the police chief saying, no, that's actually not correct, Mr. Chief. I mean, this is bad shape. That is not a good situation to be in. That is for sure. And then, of course, that horrible story with Rob Reiner over the weekend. This is so terrible. We're obviously getting a lot of details today. His son has been arrested. They expect to be charging him with double homicide, and it's horrific. Stabbing his own parents to death. There are reports tonight that they were at a party at Conan O'Brien's house the night before, and that the son, who's had a long history of mental illness and drugs and a whole bunch of problems, sleeping homeless, in New Jersey and also in other states across this country. Here's Rob Reiner with all his success and everything else, and his son was in and out of rehab. And your heart breaks for any family that goes through that. To me, it is a heartbreaking, horrific tale. And apparently Rob Reiner was trying desperately, he and his wife, to try to help their son, Nick. And then 32-year-old Nick, somehow at this party, we're hearing that he was very inappropriate and that after the party, they kind of had gotten to an argument of some sort. And that during the party, he was freaking everybody out with some really just strange behavior. He had been on meth in the past and even bragged about how he trashed the guest house when he was high on meth. So there are like a lot of problems, sadly, in this family. But he was acting very bizarre the night before, kind of living in and out of his parents' house, saying he didn't want to live in a rehab center, that he wanted to get treated at home and kind of live in and out there. And apparently, so sad. I think he had a massage scheduled. Rob Reiner did. And the masseuse said nobody answered the door. She knew that the daughter lived across the street. And then the daughter came inside and saw her parents stabbed to death. And she said right away, apparently, suspected maybe the son had something to do with it. This is just so absolutely horrific. And just horrible details. And especially as we're talking about mental health, these are very complex situations. But we're going to have Zoran Mondani coming in. And Zoran Mondani has already talked about spending more focus on mental health, but less on incarceration and essentially putting everybody out on the streets. So this is really a formula for just frightening situation. And then you've got also, let's not forget the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, who seems to be in complete denial as to what happened in his country over the weekend. You have that horrific shooting of a father and son, Sajid Akram and his son Naveed. And they opened fire, the two of them, the father and son duo, opening fire on a Jewish Hanukkah event there at Bondi Beach in Australia. It's absolutely horrific when you see the footage. And then when you hear the details, like Australia's had all these problems with anti-Semitic attacks. Right after October 7th, they had these people shouting, death to Israel, death to here, gas them all. And they were standing on the steps of essentially the prime minister's office. And apparently the prime minister, they never really did anything. These people were shouting these horrible, vile, disgusting things. Nothing happens. They had other horrific attacks where like cars were set on fire and there were like house bombings and a Jewish deli was targeted. And Anthony Albanese there, the prime minister, didn't really do much. Was trying to be maybe a little too PC, I guess, if you will. And like just letting it all slide and hoping it was just going to go away. And that's not the way you deal with hate-filled people, with monsters that are out there terrorizing our Jewish citizens and beyond. And so listen to Anthony Albanese. This is shocking, slamming the attack not on these crazy father and son, but on something else. You have to listen to this. Here it is. This is cut number 1. And here is the Prime Minister.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
Right-wing extremism. This is not right-wing extremism. This is nuts. These are people that you and your leadership actually pacified, and you wonder why they're coming back. Because guess what? They didn't feel the message the first time. When they protested right there on the Prime Minister's steps right after October 7th and said, let's gas the Jews, these extremists at that point got a free pass. And when you give extremists a free pass, they feel emboldened. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. After this weekend, I am infuriated. I am so angry today. And I think it's so disgraceful. Australia trying to pretend like they've done something or they're going to do something, his answer is gun control. It's not gun control. In this case, you do have to wonder why the guy got 6 guns, but it's actually vetting control. And it's also letting people know that if they have these horrible, threatening verbiage where people are feeling concerned and threatened, guess what? You need to do something about it. You cannot turn a blind eye and then wonder why they show up a couple days later with guns. Here is Sheena Gutnick. She's the daughter of one of the victims, and this is really powerful what she said. Her father was one of the victims, I believe, there at Bondi Beach.
My dear father, Reuven Morrison, was shot dead for being Jewish at a Hanukkah event on Bondi Beach. He had jumped up the second the shooting started. He managed to throw bricks. He was screaming at the terrorist and protecting his community. He was shot dead. If there was one way for him to go on this earth, it would be fighting a terrorist. There was no other way he would be taken from us. He went down fighting, protecting the people he loved the most.
And is that in his character? That is something that he would have done, run into danger?
Yes. He's not one to lie down. He is one to run towards danger.
And when you saw that footage of your father, what did you think of him performing those acts of heroism?
That's him. That's my dad, as I called him, my tati in Yiddish. That was him. Everyone that knew him knew the incredible man that was just too big for this world. The light that he added, his absolute immense and endless generosity, his sense of humor. He was just the most incredible person.
Who has failed you and your family and your father?
The Australian government. Absolutely. They've had the warning signs for so long. The Jewish community has been begging and begging and begging for action. And we've fallen on deaf ears. Deaf ears.
What a powerful statement coming from the daughter of one of the victims. And to say that her father, if he went down, he would go down early fighting a terrorist, because that's the kind of person he was, and he did, which is just unbelievable. And her saying the government of Australia failed them. Clearly, the government of Australia is not alone. They were pushing for a Palestinian state right at the height of the fighting, which is still, of course, going on. But they in the UK and France and Canada, what kind of message does that send to Hamas? You're doing a great job. Keep going. You don't think that emboldened terrorists? Oh, God, these people are on our side. They want a two-state solution. They're going to reward us with something. Let's keep going. It's horrific. Let's go to Dom in Minnesota, 1-800-848-9222. And you're listening to the Rita Cosby Show. Dom, go ahead.
Yeah, Rita, you know, Australia is proving beyond any shadow of a doubt that banning guns never works. You know, Australia and the other European countries should take a page from Trump. Australia is banning guns while Trump is banning criminals. It's as simple as that.
That's a great analogy because, you know, Australia has one of the most strict gun laws in the world. I mean, it really does. And you're right. Their solution is ban guns. And you know what was amazing? I looked at a statement, that, this prime minister put out, who I think is a disgrace. And he puts out a statement and he didn't even use the word Jews. The victims at Bondi Beach didn't talk about anti-Semitism, didn't talk about Jews. I mean, that's horrific. The guy clearly is PC till the end. And then his first comments were all about the guns, just like you said. I heard nothing saying that we're going to throw the book at these monsters, that we're going to start, vetting people that are in this country. I didn't hear that either. You know, it's like he is still tone deaf, don't you think, Dom?
Yeah, you know why? Because these guys are cut from the same mold as Benny Thompson, who says it was an unfortunate incident the two, National Guard soldiers died. They're all the same. Unfortunately, they go to the same school of stupid.
Yeah, you're right. And they both got A's in stupidity. 100%, Tom. Good line, my friend. Thank you very much. Let's go to Gino in Greenwich Village real quick, line 4. Go ahead, Gino, your thoughts.
The bottom line, Rita, they're all said and done. I'm amazed, shocked. I never liked the guy, but I didn't want Meathead to get killed like this. But the bottom line is De Niro's grandson died of fentanyl. Well, they're liberal, and I'm a moderate. They're liberal extremists. What goes around comes around to their own family.
No, but again, Gino, wait, hang on, Gino. I'm not going to take that because I actually don't think I'm one of those people that I think a lot of the comments that De Niro has said and Rob Reiner, have been, very nasty or whatever. But I still am really mourning for them and their families today. I mean, this is horrific. I don't think we should be saying by any shape or form what goes around comes around. To me, nobody deserves this. And it also sounds, in the Rob Reiner case, it sounds like he was trying to help his son. They even did a whole big movie, a documentary together about his mental illness. Seems like he was welcoming him into the home, and said, you need to really get help. He was trying to get him to clean up and he wouldn't do it. He kept relapsing and obviously had a very horrible, violent streak. So, I'm very sad for Rob Reiner. I'm very sad about the loss of his wife, and it's just horrific. And we should all be thinking of this. And it's a heartbreaking situation. It's just my heart breaks for the family, and it's so horrible. But thank you anyway, Gino. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. All right.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. Wherever Bud goes, his harmonica goes with him. It's a pocket full of soul. Now he's living with prostate cancer. He asked his doctor about Extandi and enzalutamide. Extandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Extandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Extandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Extandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Extandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Extandi.com.
Everyone wants the Emirates NBA Cup.
And things are heating up.
30 teams started. Bang! But only 8 have advanced to the single elimination knockout rounds. To survive, they'll have to be hungry, relentless, ruthless.
Are you kidding me?
They all want the cup, but only one team can claim it. Who will capture the cup? Emirates NBA Cup semifinals, Saturday on Prime.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue with your calls here on the Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Norm in Brooklyn on line 4. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, hi, Rita. Okay, about the shooting in Australia. What struck me watching the films and seeing still photos of it is the absolute ingratitude of this father-son terrorist team. They were, from it appears to me, these were not poor people. Were each of them look about 30 to 50 pounds overweight apiece. Okay, they were well fed. Okay, they are color coordinated, and they're both wearing fashionable. One's wearing shorts, other cargo pants, nice sneakers that they don't look like they got from a dime store. Okay, touting purchased firearms that were probably $800, $1,000 a piece with scopes and everything. So it just appears to me these guys come from a hellhole wherever the hell they come from. They come to Australia, a nice place. Okay, and this is what a father is teaching his son.
Yeah, but by the way, Norm, stick with us because you're right. To me, I was so troubled that it was a father-son. Hey, son, we're going to go out for the day and have some fun.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams in any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibilities.
Starting your business isn't just about opening the doors. It's keeping the dream you built secure. With New York Life, you get the financial guidance to make it real. Start today at NYL.com.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. One of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Salt Lake City, Utah, where a large-scale rescue operation took place to save a base jumper who was hanging on a cliff wall hundreds of feet up in the Cane Creek, Utah area as his parachute tangled on the red rock. Now, the sheriff says that they were called in around 1 o'clock regarding a 43-year-old who was stuck on the edge of a cliff after a failed base jump incident. So it was up to the search and rescue team to save him. By the way, a base jumper is an extreme sports enthusiast who leaps from fixed objects like buildings, antennas, spans on bridges, cliffs, deploying a parachute for a descent, making it a little different from skydiving, jumping from planes, and known for its high risk and adrenaline rush, often involving jumps from much lower altitudes. Except I jumped from a plane and mine was 13,500 feet. So, I lived to tell about it, which I'm happy to, which was a fun experience, by the way. It definitely was. Well, in this case, the large scale rescue operation took place to save the base jumper who was hanging from a cliff wall. So thanks to state and medical helicopters, rescuers, and others, they were able to rescue the man more quickly. The sheriff said he wasn't sure what happened in this case. Did the jumper not go far enough? Did his parachute fail? Or did the wind push him into the rock face? Either way, the base jumper was delighted that he was saved and taken to a local hospital just for checking. By the way, this is the second base jumper incident in less than a week. The sheriff said probably they'll just drop what they're doing to come to try to save somebody else. And he said, we're becoming base jumper experts. It just shows every place in the country has different tasks for our men and women in blue, and bravo to them in this case for saving the base jumper's life. Well, tonight We're talking about the war of words that's coming up. First off, here, you got to hear this one. On the Australia attack, listen to what Senator Chuck Schumer said. Remember, he's the highest ranking Jewish citizen in the House of, in Congress, between the House and Senate. He there in the Senate, literally, he is the highest ranking Jewish politician in this country. And yet, listen to his response after this horrible massacre where so many people were killed and so many injured, and all he could say was, "Go Bills." Listen to this.
And of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal.
Somehow I'm not thinking about the Bills and the Patriots on a day like this. The whole world's in mourning, and Chuck Schumer, you should be too. Maybe you should, get rid of your canned Go Bills line, especially at a time like that. Completely inappropriate. But speaking of inappropriate, you got to hear Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat of Connecticut. He actually blamed the Brown University shooting, where we still don't even know who's responsible for it. A guy walked into the classroom and opened fire, killing 2 students and injuring many others. And yet Chris Brown, the senator who clearly has Trump derangement syndrome, well, this is what he had to say. He blamed Trump for the violence that's taking place.
We haven't had the wherewithal to do anything in Washington we did a little bit a few years ago, but of means for years and years and years. But having said that, Rhode Island has some pretty strict gun laws. They have universal background checks, red flag laws, waiting periods to purchase a gun. So this is about, and we've talked about this, much more than gun violence. It is gun violence, but the laws could be stronger, but they're stronger than other places in Rhode Island.
Well, but the laws do make a difference. I mean, if you look at states like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, California that have stronger laws, we have gun violence rates, murder rates, mass shooting rates that are 2 to 3 to 4 times lower than states that have loose gun laws. And many of the weapons that are used in our states for gun crimes come to our states from those states that have an ability for criminals and people with serious mental illness to buy weapons. So what we know is that stronger laws do work. And since we passed that bill in 2022, the first bill in 30 years that strengthens the nation's gun laws, gun violence rates and mass shooting rates have come down in this country. But this is not shocking because over the last year, President Trump has been engaged in a dizzying campaign to increase violence in this country. He is restoring gun rights to felons and people who have lost their ability to buy guns. He eliminated the White House Office of Gun Violence Protection, and he has stopped funding mental health grants and community anti-gun violence grants that Republicans and Democrats supported in that 2022 bill. So he has been engaged in a pretty deliberate campaign to try to make violence more likely in this country. And I think you're unfortunately going to see the results of that on the streets of America.
That's a pretty big statement. He's in a campaign to make violence more likely?
Of course. I mean, he's knowingly restoring gun rights to dangerous people. He is cutting off grants that have bipartisan support to try to interrupt violence in our cities or to try to get necessary mental health resources to families and children in need. The evidence tells you that when you stop funding mental health, when you stop funding community anti-gun violence programs, when you give gun rights back to dangerous people, you are going to have an increase in violence that is knowable and that is foreseeable.
That is so disgusting that he would actually say that he would actually come out and blame it on Donald Trump for the Brown University shooting, where they're still looking for a suspect. This guy is he is so loony and so obsessed with Donald Trump, even if he has no connection to this. And in fact, Donald Trump, the minute he finds who this person is, he's going to throw the book at him. And you can bet if those, Abbott and Costello there in, Providence, Rhode Island, they've been the ones, I'm sure, handling crime for many years there. And boy, have they done a great job. I'm being facetious because they're the worst. They can't even get their story straight. and we're expecting them to solve a crime. Thank goodness the FBI is in there, and they just offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to the capture of the shooter. Thank God for the FBI, because I have no faith in the local authorities there in Providence, Rhode Island. But Chris Murphy's too busy blaming Donald Trump. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Norm. Norm, thank you for waiting. You know what? We were talking before the break about Australia and the father and son. You're right. They look like they had it kind of made there in Australia, which is very inviting and very sympathetic to refugees, to immigrants. We don't even know their story of where they were. But you're right. And he got 6 guns. Apparently all legal, because he said he's into hunting. So he's probably pretty affluent.
Hunting
he's probably doing well. Exactly. And this is the thanks, that these monsters do to the Jewish community.
And I mean, I'm looking at pictures of him, and he has expensive body armor, which God knows could be. Listen, I'm just adding up just what he brought there, and this is not a struggling immigrant. This is my point there. It's not a struggling immigrant.
And by the way, even if he was, it still doesn't give him an excuse to open fire on Jewish people.
No. And if you ask me, the thing in Rhode Island, that's also something jihadist, because I heard something alleged that somebody screamed Allahu Akbar or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Like, we hear different reports. It's not fully confirmed, but there are reports out there that apparently he did that too. And by the way, what do you make of Abbott and Costello there in charge? Because these people, it's like Keystone Cops.
Right. Well, first thing, their whole allegation that that they have less crime. Well, they have also a less population in Rhode Island than they do in places like New York or Illinois. So I mean, there's less of a population there. Listen, if I was a psycho and I wanted to kill people, where am I going to go? Am I going to go to Brown, where I know nobody has a gun, right? And I got a good chance of killing people? Or am I going to go to, say, University of Texas, where I know everybody's got a handgun, or, grannies have shotguns? Am I going to go? Where am I going to go? Where do you think my best shot of killing a lot of people are?
Well, and sadly, we all know the answer, and that's the sad reality. You know what's so shocking also, Norm, is the lack of sort of like, who was it? The mayor there started talking. He started talking about how he was going to order some pizza. And then when somebody asked a question, he said, please, we've been working for 49 hours straight. I call that a slow week.
Yeah. Well, it's... It ain't New York, that's for sure. But they created an atmosphere where something like that can happen. We've created an atmosphere. The Australians have created an atmosphere. This is what you get when you don't vet who comes into your country, and then those people encourage others to do things like this. This is this whole world jihadist, this world jihad. This is what's going on in Australia, is going on here, it's going on in Europe.
And then we're about to have Mayor Mamdani on January 1st.
We have Mayor Mamdani.
I thought about him all weekend thinking, oh my goodness, you got this like perfect storm of these people that are all over the place. There was also a bus today. You probably saw this in LA. 4 people that were literally caught making a bomb in the desert because they were planning on having the New Year's Eve celebrations in 4 or 5 different cities in California disrupted by a couple bombs. And then you got Zoran Mamdani, who thinks protesters should just kind of keep on going. That is a perfect storm, Norm.
Yeah, it's a perfect storm. Yeah, pray for us. I think we should all pray and I don't know. We can get through the next 4 years. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if he does such a horrible job. Hopefully, Hochul will do her job, and if not, we'll need a new governor. But it's just It's scary times.
It is scary times. It is scary times. It is scary times, and good people need to bandy together. That's the other thing too, Norm, because as I'm looking at, what happened like in Australia and the fact that prime minister turned a blind eye for weeks upon weeks, years upon years with some of these incidents, good people need to speak out and speak up. And that's why I always love hearing from you, Norm. Thank you very much, Norm. You're great. Thank you. Let's go to Matt in the Bronx. Go ahead, Matt.
So
Go ahead, Matt. Yep, I hear you now. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, yes. So pretty much you had the drumbeat of the politicians and a few activist groups in Australia saying that immediately after the tragedy of the mass shooting on Bondi Beach, that they needed more gun control. And Australia has some of the most draconian gun laws on the planet, but nevertheless, this was still allowed to happen. It's not a matter of the guns; it's who's shooting the guns, and it's a policy of it goes back to the demographic change in Australia that's happening in the United States and Canada, New Zealand next door, Western Europe. It's being invaded by the third world. They used to have sane immigration laws in Australia as recently as the 1970s. But just like in the United States with the 1965 Immigration Act under the Lyndon Baines Johnson administration, in the 1970s, they abandoned what they called a white Australia policy. That's what it was officially known as. They wanted to keep a majority European population in Australia. They abandoned that and threw their arms open to allowing everyone from the third world to come in and choked off the immigration from Europe, and principally from the UK and the British Isles, which was the founding stock of Australia. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting people to come into your country who are going to assimilate, who are going to contribute, and who are going to maintain the traditions, legal and cultural traditions of the country that they're emigrating to. But what you have now is a Tower of Babel with a bunch of dangerous people from areas of the third world where they don't respect the rule of law, they don't respect separation of church and state, they don't respect any of the legal customs that they have in the Western Hemisphere or in Australia or New Zealand. And again, the incompatible cultures that are being accepted into Australia and all these other Western countries. It's a suicide of the West.
No, by the way, Matt, that's a great way to describe it. It is a suicide of the West. And you're right. And listen, as we're talking about those who aren't assimilating, I want to bring up the fact, what I think was one of the happy stories of the weekend, if there is one. But this one of the hero, the guy who was, I think he was a food cart worker. He was an immigrant too. And he's the one who had that guts of steel that knocked down the gunman, grabbed the gun from him. He goes from behind, and it was a big guy. The gunman was a pretty big guy, but he came from behind him, choked him, got the gun out of his hand, pointed the gun at him, and he stopped that guy from continuing to shoot. The other one was still firing from the bridge. But that's a perfect example, Matt. I use that example because that guy, I've seen a couple interviews, and he has said, look, this country did so much for me. He was wounded, by the way, a couple times because then they shot at him because they didn't like that, that he had toppled one of them. But he said, I love this country. America's done so much for, Australia's done so much for me. I need to help this country, and I'm so grateful to them. And it's the right thing to do. Like, he didn't hesitate to run into the line of fire, and then he became like a target of the gunman, the one who still had the loaded gun on the bridge. But that's the kind of person we need, right? I mean, that person deserves not only, I hope he's an Australian citizen. I hope he gets like a parade. But that's the kind of person. What a contrast, right? That guy from these two horrible shooters.
Two final points. Well, with regard to the gentleman who wrestled the gun away from one of the shooters, you notice what he did with the gun once he got it in his hands? He leaned it against a tree because it was as if he didn't even know how to use it. And that's one of the things of disarming the population.
Right. By the way, at first, he did point it at the guy. He did. If you look at it, I believe he first pointed it at the guy, or maybe he put it down and then pointed at the guy. I'm trying to remember which order, but at one point he was pointing it at the guy, because he realized that, he needed to, because the guy started bum rushing him. So there's a lot there. Matt, thank you. Unfortunately, we got a hard break, but Matt, thank you. You're terrific. Great points. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll continue, everybody, right after the break here on The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
What if an appliance emergency didn't have to be? If your appliances suddenly decided they were done, don't stress. Best Buy has you covered with a wide variety of major appliances from trusted brands, in stock and available now. So you don't have to worry about laundry piling up, refilling the fridge, or that big dinner party you're hosting. Because Best Buy has the knowledge and expertise to get you the right appliance for your home. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. So Netflix is basically Santa this year. 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, streaming live. At 1 p.m. Eastern, it's Cowboys, Commanders. Then at 4:30, you've got Lions, Vikings. Midwest football, playoff stakes, and probably some snow. Watching holiday football is a tradition the whole family can enjoy. Open some gifts, grab some food, settle in, and watch NFL Live on Netflix this Christmas Day.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
I got a message that our flight was canceled. But they can put us on another flight, and we just need to confirm our credit card info.
Wait, I got a security alert from McAfee. It flagged that message as a scam.
McAfee's scam detector automatically spots and alerts you to suspicious texts, emails, and deepfake videos. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And coming up on the Rita Cosby Show, we mentioned Mondani. Well, New York City Mayor Eric Adams blames the Bondi Beach terror attack on globalization of intifada. And remember, that's a phrase that we often heard from Mondani, even though he said he doesn't use that anymore. Not that he's condemning it, just that he's not using it anymore. So bravo to Mayor Eric Adams for trying to send a very powerful message in his final days in office. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Larry in Brooklyn on line 5. Go ahead, Larry, your thoughts.
Yeah, it's hard to say anything that hasn't been said, but I have to comment on that Chuck Schumer first, because your criticism was right on point. But it wasn't sufficient, because you were listening to a man who has lost his soul. If he could make that quip when he's confronted with an issue that affects him directly, because he is a Jew, and yet he still made that "Go Bills" remark, that is a man who has forfeited his soul because he sold out to the radicals.
Yeah, but and Larry, hold on. I want to play it. It's just a very short. Here it is again, so everybody hears it again.
And of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal.
I mean, that's disgusting, Larry. I agree with you. He has lost his soul. He's lost his moral compass. And he was one of the first ones, remember, to call for Netanyahu to be removed. So this is not a guy who's really always been on the side of the Jewish people, even though he is a Jew.
Well, that's how he lost his soul, by taking the politically correct position and going against his own people. That's one of the ways he lost his soul. But I also want to comment on what Norm was saying about the well-dressed Muslims. You know, how surprised he was. You know, that's very significant because, you know, you don't have to be like a sandal-wearing, whatever you want to call their outfit.
Do me a favor, Larry, stick with us. We got to go to a break. Stick with us. We'll have you afterwards.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. All right.